pilgrims to write exams?
Interesting. Maybe it's their own way to be sure that the pilgrims indeed are faithful of that faith.
I don't think it's JAM that will conduct that exam. So.
Certainly not JAM. Maybe another group will be set up to look at exams. But I'd just like to comment on the health issue. It's quite sad, the attention really that we give to health, because a moment ago we were looking at the threat of the recurrence of Ebola. And then we're looking at how that we do not really pay adequate attention to the health sector. And to see this happen in Louth, you can be sure that over the next 24, 48, and 72 hours, some of these patients are going to be dead. And some of them, their cases are going to get from bad to worse. And this should not happen in Nigeria of today, that is struggling for relevance in among the Committee of Nations, that this is happening. I think there should be a medical emergency should be declared in the country, so that, you know, developments like this, I mean, these are not things we should be dealing with in today's Nigeria. You know, I mean, what are their demands? Somebody must respond to them. We can't call their bluff, because lives are involved. And until we begin to give value, until we continue to place value on lives in Nigeria, I think we'll continue to get it wrong. I mean, what could they possibly be asking for? Somebody must engage them. We must engage them and think about those who are going to be victims. Those who are in offices could afford the best of Medicare, but the people who come here, this is the only hope they have. And because you don't go there, you cannot call their bluff. And I think the relevant civil society organizations should insist that the government looked into this matter.
All right, we might as well just move on to the next one, which is Nigerian Tribune here this morning. The lead story: how security appointments were made presidency. That you see on page 34. It's been under the spotlight lately in terms of who got what, where, when, why, and how. Maybe not how, but at least all the others did feature. Perhaps you think that this, which you find on page 34, whatever is written there, will assuage a lot of perhaps frayed nerves?
Well, I don't think so, because the concerns are very, very serious, and I think telling Nigerians how the appointments were made now, how it will help the presidency in the conclusions in the minds of a lot of people, I really can tell. But I think that the presidency needs to look at it again. Other sections of the country are calling for inclusion. They are saying, don't we have qualified hands from our regions who can also serve this country in these capacities?
All right, let me read this. It's not a headline as such, but the picture speaks volumes, and there's a caption that will explain that. Chairman, African Union, and President of Chad, Idris Deby, who's on the right, with the President of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, holding their African passports shortly after it was launched at the 27th AU Summit in Kigali, Rwanda on Sunday. African passports.
Interesting development. I mean, those who are Pan-Africanists, those who believe that Africa can only make progress when it is one.
What about the implication, maybe security implication of this one? I know there are so many good sides, but if one is being wanted in another country and you got this African passport, you sneak into the other country, how does that work?
That's where technology helps. I mean, just like they have it, I mean, if they can have the EU, why can't we have the AU? Having the African passport, I mean, people who committed crimes maybe in Bulgaria or in Austria who sneaked into maybe Germany, it's a matter of time. If you ever use, I mean, that's why we need to begin to play in the Champions League of the world, I would say. If you use
the Champions League that some countries are pulling out of in the EU?
Yeah, I mean, if you went anywhere and you either you used your card or you used your phones or you carried out any transaction, because there will be an interconnection of all these systems, and there is no way you can hide for too long.
Well, we have to qualify for
There will
that
be an
Champions
integration. There will be an integration. But I think Africa needs it.
So I hope we get our data, facts and figures right in the country first before we, who knows, but just thinking.
Vanguard is the next, and we have so many, but we'll just take one big one. But the others that you get to find on the front page of Vanguard today: NNPC cost Nigeria $518 million in oil deals. That's according to Natl. Violation of TSA, AGF queries, GTB, Stanbic, IBTC, Keystone Bank, and of course, why NJC sacked Justices Yunusa and Oloyede. The big news on the front page: Buhari orders IGP to reopen Bola Ige Dokubo's cases. It's a new day, says Bola Ige's son.
Interesting. I'll just comment on the Bola Ige and Dokubo's cases. It's not just Bola Ige and Dokubo. There are a whole lot of other cases. It should be interesting to see what can be brought to the open again. It is important that justice is seen to be done in matters like this, so that people can begin to have confidence in the system, and then those who continue to perpetrate all forms of evils and violence in the society would know that whatever you do, maybe not today, but someday you're going to have to pay. So if it will not be one of those orders where it is an attempt to subject some people to some harassment, and maybe if you feel that there are some names, some people who have questions to answer, and maybe at the moment there seems to be among the loud voices on the other side of the political divide, and then you simply want to quiet them, I don't think that is what should happen. People would like to see the outcome of this directive from Mr. President.
This happened almost 15 years ago, 2001, December.
We see in countries, we do hope that the evidences have not been tampered with.
Good.
But in developed climes, we see 50-year-old cases, sometimes even longer periods, are reopened. Investigations are reopened into those cases. But again, like we know, they have their history, they have their information well documented, and then they are able to make reference. But in this part of the world, whether we can achieve that again, if we don't have, if the evidences have been tampered with, and then even if you come up with your findings, you're not likely going to get a conviction in court, because the lawyers will come up with all sorts. But we're happy to hear this, and we really look forward to developments, and we hope that they will carry the public along, and let's really know what's going to happen to Bola. For his son to say it's a new day, that means there's still a lot of pain in the family. There are questions begging for answers, and then we really would love to see those answers.
Okay, we've got. Do we have business day?
Leadership is next here, and you see on the front page there, inland reports to save importers 100 billion naira in freight cost. Page 5 is where you find details. Northern businesses spend 1 trillion naira on logistics annually. That's according to an expert. Barrow, Lokoja, Oguta ports uncompleted 7 years after flag of Makodi 2. Page 5 is where you find details. But this one, just beneath the nameplate, seems to be the interesting one here. FDI, CBN takes campaign to US, UK. What do you think? Is that another jamboree?
Well, I don't want to call it jamboree, because right now nobody is investing locally. And so if there are hopes for FDIs, and the CBN is confident that there are people who are willing to bring their money in, that's great. But the fundamentals must be right. You cannot go tell them in the UK and US to come invest, and they are aware that you still got a lot of issues back home, and how are they going to
All right,
bring in those funds.
Let's quickly take this before we've got Business Day next. Singapore billionaire signs 250 megawatts power deal for Nigeria. Okay, well, we'll have to thank you for coming on, Sylvester Ebodaghe, publisher, National Daily Newspapers. We'll be back after the break. Join us again.